So don't go into dating looking for your girlfriend or your wife. Let your girlfriend or your wife emerge from the dating process. Don't take it slow, right? Fuck girls fast and get to know them and as fast as possible, because then you can get through the process much quicker. One of the absolute worst mistakes that you can make when you are looking for a relationship is to focus on the fact that you are looking for a relationship. I want a girlfriend, I want a wife, I want the future mother of my children. This is a terrible thing to focus on. Yes, we're not going to play some self-hypnosis where I'm like, some guy on YouTube told me not to, I want a girlfriend, but I'm going to pretend I don't want one, and somehow that's going to magically make it happen. No, we got to have some common sense here. Yes, you're going to want a girlfriend, you're going to want a wife, right? That's your goal. But it's kind of like there's an island in the distance. And while you're swimming to that island, you've enjoyed swimming around with, all the fishies and trying all the different types of fish and different kinds of sea animals to eat, right? But you want to get to the island because you want somewhere safe to be and you want somewhere comfortable. Okay, you're going to start heading towards the island. But first you got to figure out where the island is, right? So you have to be going in a certain direction for a long enough time for it to show up in your sight, right? And you're also going to have to be focusing on your strokes, right? If you want to get to the place where you're giving your wife strokes or your future girlfriend strokes, then you got to focus on your strokes right here and now, right? Occasionally, you're going to have to lift your head out of the water and go, okay, am I going in the right direction? Is this the island I want to go to? Because you can see what's on the island. It has this kind of food, this kind of weather, blah, 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 blah. You have to be aware of where you're going. But the majority of your focus is going to be on the process, which is dating, right? You're going to have to be trying different strokes. You're going to be, find a different raft, find a different ship that you're going to take there because swimming is very slow, right? So stick with this metaphor for a little bit. And I want you to mull over it and ask yourself, okay, I want a relationship. I want a girlfriend for whatever reason. But if I am obsessed with the goal, I am going to probably get frustrated. You're probably going to go about it the wrong way, and you're probably going to actually be impatient and end up, maybe taking someone that isn't right for you, but because you were so focused on having the thing that you didn't find someone truly qualified for that position, right? Okay, so there's going to be three main things that we want to focus on when it comes to sticking to a correct process of dating that ensures us that once we do reach our goal and have a girlfriend or a wife, that we have found one of the best people. Because there's a lot of, I'm not even going to get into the idea that there's one out there for you, because that's really, really absurd for the most part. I'm sure there's some exceptions in the universe where somehow you have that one person. But I would say that for the vast majority of people, you probably have a lot of people out there who are compatible with you enough to give you a pretty happy life, okay? While you are going about the dating process, to avoid falling into the mistakes that every other person makes and either ends up not getting what they want or they get what they think they get what they want, but it's really not, is you need to see dating as the process itself, right? And I'll explain some more details about what that means, right? I gave you the short version of it, but I want to go into more detail. Then the second part is when you are in traditional understandings of, oh, I'm looking for a girlfriend or a wife, you're going to end up taking it too slow with these girls because you're under the false impression that, oh, if I want something serious, I got to take it slow. It's a completely ass backwards idea that is not true. It's just something that pervades our culture for whatever fucking reason. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go into a history, diatribe about how different cultural norms have evolved. I don't give a fuck. The important part is they're wrong, and I'm going to teach you what's right, okay? And the last part is when you don't follow these two things, what are the results of not following these specific ones, right? So if you catch yourself, because you're going to make mistakes, when you catch yourself not following these two ideas properly to keep your mind and your heart on the straight and narrow that's going to bring you to the island that you want, if you see these things popping up, the consequences of your wrong process, you're going to know, okay, I'm following the wrong process. So let's start first with the idea that dating is the process and the relationship is the consequence of a good process, right? And you can come at this with, whatever metaphor might help you understand correctly. I'm a YouTuber, so I'm always thinking, oh, I want this many subscribers. I want to make this much money, blah, 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 blah. If I only focus on that, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to be perpetually exhausted, frustrated, disappointed. But if I just ask myself, look, I have some ideas of what makes a good YouTube channel. You got to have good thumbnails. You got to have good titles. You need good quality content that keeps people engaged. But engagement, isn't the only thing. You need to actually give good advice, right? And all of these qualities have to be in there to have a successful YouTube channel, or at least some of them done really well. If you're working out, right, you need to understand that looking in the mirror every day or looking at pictures of Mr. Olympias or whoever you want to look like, that's good as a goal. But if you keep focusing on that, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to be disappointed, and it doesn't do anything to actually get you to your goal. What gets you to your goal is, today is Tuesday, today is this workout, I need to eat this much. Focus on that, right? You can use your projections as or your ambitions as fuel, but the moment that they become the focus is the moment that they have gone from being a useful tool in your mind, like a picture of like your ideal physique. It's gone from, oh, that's inspirational, to it's now a hindrance to my progress, and I just spent 10 minutes wondering why I'm not gaining weight or I'm not losing weight, and instead that 10 minutes could have been spent on doing another set. Okay, so whatever metaphor you want to bring to it, use a metaphor that means something to you, right? A gym metaphor might not mean anything to you. A YouTube metaphor might not mean anything to you. Pick whatever sport, profession, hobby, game. You could think of it as an RPG game. Like, literally use your creativity to help framework the advice that I'm going to be giving you, and this will help contextualize it in a way that your inner heart and mind, it gets it, okay? Because I can give you this advice, but if it doesn't click, then it doesn't really have any purpose. And it's ultimately up to you to make it click. I just have to do my best to be clear about the teachings, right? So with those metaphors, hopefully you've gotten an idea that it's the process that gets you the result. The journey is not the most important thing. It's just the thing you have to focus on. The goal is obviously the most important thing. That's the reason we're on the journey, right? Now, one of the things that underpins you focusing too much on the goal and instead of focusing on the process is that you're grasping at an identity, right? You're projecting some ideas of what you want from this dating process. You're like, okay, I want a girlfriend, right? That's an identity. It's kind of like a role, and or a wife, or a mother of my children. That's just not how it's going to work out. You're going to find a girl who turns into your wife, right? When you slip a ring on her finger, and you slip your banana inside of her and, leave a little present, and then 9 months later another present pops out, right? Those are things that we attribute to the role of being a wife and a mother and a lover and a partner and, all the other identities that go into how we feel about our significant other. But at the end of the day, what's going on is it's a person who is doing things, and then we label those with the identities of, this is what a mother does. This is what a wife does. This is what a good girlfriend does. This is what a good woman does. This is what a good person does, right? These are just ideas that they're useful. I mean, I'm not saying get rid of concepts and labels. They're useful tools to kind of guide us on this is this, this, and this. You have to distinguish to a certain extent what's going on in your life. But if you're only obsessed with those identities in and of themselves, the same thing's going to happen. You're going to get too obsessed with something in your head rather than something that is here right now, right? And especially when you don't have it yet, it's going to cause you to just get completely lost in your head. And again, that 5 minutes of daydreaming or 15 minutes of distraction is 15 minutes you could have spent on doing something that is conducive to the dating process, which could be as simple as going to the gym or eating right because, you want to get in better shape and you want to become more attractive, right? There is a part of the dating process that is you focused, and there's a part of the dating process that is them focused, and there's a part of the dating process that is you together focused, like going on the actual date itself. You got to go approach girls and talk to girls somehow, okay? Whether it's online dating, what I call day game, you go out and meet girls in real life, or if you're going to bars and clubs, which probably is not the best place to find a long-term partner, but hey, you do you. Your friend groups, your church groups, your school, your work, wherever you're finding this person, you have to go out and actually find them. Then you have to communicate with them. Then you have to go on a date with them, right? This is where it gets cooperative and you two are kind of like feeling each other out. There is a huge workload of actually finding someone who's compatible with you. And the less amount of time you can spend obsessing over the goal and actually, I need to ask this person a question that will show me more about them, or I want to get to know them better, so I want to see if I truly actually enjoy being around them. Do I enjoy talking with them? And of course, am I attracted to them? I mean, we're going to get to that in the second part, but it's a huge factor. Like, you got to be compatible with this person on a sexual level, or a long-term relationship is not going to work. And the flavor that these wrong views on the process of dating are actually demonstrating is that you're impatient, right? I want to find someone who fills this role. No, I want to find a person who can operate these roles. Like, there's a distinction, right? You're seeing it as a job position that needs to be filled. There's no rush to fill this. I mean, yes, you only have so much time on this earth, right? So you can't be completely slow, but you can't be impatient either, because that impatience just leads to bad results. You just end up, building a crappy house together. You got to lay the foundation. You got to find good materials. You got to find the person who can actually lay the materials, okay? Being impatient is going to result in these viewpoints. So if you find yourself kind of like, oh, I need a girlfriend, and you're grasping at these identities and these positions that need to be filled in your life, take a second and slow down and say, I'm being impatient, and I'm not following on I'm not focusing on the process. And the process is actually going to get you there quicker. So it's kind of funny, being patient and taking it not necessarily slow, but taking it at the right pace is actually going to get you the results quicker. And being impatient is going to get you the results slower. Okay, now there is a such thing, however, is too slow. So one of the biggest problems that people make when they are thinking, oh, I want someone serious, is they fall into this really stupid thinking where it's like, there's hoes and there's wives. I'm not going to go into some huge diatribe about why this is stupid, right? Yes, it's true. Most of the time, there might be some exceptions, but most of the time you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, right? But the opposite of a hoe is not a girl who takes it slow. It can be a sign, but it's not a necessary sign. Right? And there's guys who are really good with girls who still fall for this. Oh, she's not that kind of girl. Bro, I've slept with that kind of girl on the first or second date many, many times. Sleeping with a girl quickly it can be a sign of promiscuous nature, but a lot of times actually it's just a sign of chemistry. Like, she feels that level of chemistry and connection, so she's willing to open up that quickly. And actually, here's the main, you might think, oh, it's not a great argument. Here's the killer argument. I've had girls who are really promiscuous take it slow with me. And if you have any dating experience, you know too. Like, you're trying to sleep with a girl, and you either know because you know of her, or you have enough experience to tell who's promiscuous or not, or she ends up telling you, especially when they're like, oh yeah, I used to hook up a lot, but I'm trying to take it slow now. And you're like, all right, so everyone got it on the first date and I got to take 5 dates to make it happen. Obviously, I'm hoping this is not a girl that you want to end up seriously with, and that's a whole nother discussion, right? And if I've offended anyone with that, my intention is not to offend you. My intention is just to tell guys the truth, right? If I end up offending you by telling the truth, then that's just a natural consequence of what happens. I'm in the process of giving good dating advice. If things happen as a result, well, then they happen. So, back to the main point of the video. Taking it slow doesn't mean she's a good girl. And having sex fast does not mean she is a slut. So throw that thinking out and simply focus on the fact that having sex quickly is the best thing to do, because it is going to show your compatibility quickly, right? You need sexual compatibility. Yes, when you're 50 and 60, the friendship romance parts are going to take over. But until then, you should probably enjoy your marriage, because if you're not enjoying it, I don't know why you're having a relationship. If you think kids or having a family is some sort of duty, that's fine. Everyone feels that way to a certain extent. But if that's 100% of your motivation, then I don't know what you're living for. It sounds like a terrible existence. And if that's you, then hope you find a way to enjoy it. And sex is the foundation of most relationships. People don't want to talk about it like this, and I'm not going to spend an hour explaining it, but it is the foundation of all relationships. And the quick argument that I can give to you is, if sex is not the most important thing in relationships, then why is it the number one thing that's talked about in relationships? Why is the fact, when you think of a relationship, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Monogamy, right? Or in a negative sense, cheating. Like, it's the most talked about part of relationships. Who hooked up with who? Who's cheating on who? At the end of the day, what you're really saying is, she put her mouth on another guy's pee-pee, or my husband slipped and fell into another girl's vagina magically, into our neighbor's vagina. It's about sex. So much of our society is built upon sex, but we're really putting on blinders and pretending it's not the most important thing. Why is porn the most popular thing on the internet? If sex is not the most important thing, then why is it the most guarded and controversial and dangerous thing in all of dating and relationships? So that should immediately just be the smoke of the fire that makes you go, wait a second, maybe sex is the most important thing. But that's the, I could go on and on and on about all the examples and why people are deluding themselves for whatever reason, X and Y. And I know it all, but it's just going to distract you, right? Just think about that one fact. If sex is not the most important part of a relationship, then why is it the most closely guarded and important thing in practice? What people say and what people do are not always the same. But what people do is always the truth of who they are and what they believe. And the last reason why sex is very important, and not taking it slow, even if you want a girl who is a long-term partner, is once you have sex with her, you actually get to know her a lot quicker, right? Not only do you get to see the sexual compatibility, you actually get to know her on a deeper level. A guy can be friends with a girl for 5-10 years and know every story or favorite color or blah, blah, blah. I could fuck her and know her better in 1 or 2 days. Not necessarily in I can spit out X amount of facts about her, but I have a real sense of how she really feels. Girls who I would sleep with quickly would tell me things that they would not tell, their best friends. Or they wouldn't tell, some guy friend they knew for a long time. Or even some boyfriend. Because the short version of it is that because she felt so quick to open up to you sexually, it's gonna naturally lead to her feeling more open to telling you other things, sharing, exposing herself in other ways, right? And I would say the second way is that because quick sex kind of breaks that bullshit idea that, good girls take it slow, sluts take it fast, da-da-da-da. I think she's gonna have this certain sense of you won't shame and judge her so much because you have so quickly created a bond together on a physical level, but also an emotional level. And she's willing to expose sides that would maybe be a little bit embarrassing or shameful, but is willing to share them with you because you having sex quickly kind of indicates a little bit, maybe, possibly, to the fact that you're not going to be shaming her about other things, right? If you're not going to shame her about having sex quickly, you're probably not going to shame her about X and Y. So having sex with her quickly is actually going to lead to you creating a faster bond, right? And plus, we can just go into the whole biochemistry or just the fact that, if she fucks you, she's going to feel good and want to spend more time around you. And that's just going to lead to her wanting to be more with you. So if you do end up, after having sex with her, get to know her better and see her as a partner, well, she's going to want to be around you more because you already have that connection. You didn't have to, play this stupid game of, where she's dangling the pussy, as little candies and you have to follow the trail like a good boy, right? You already have it together. So you're already at the point of basically being together. It's just a question of, do we agree to be with only each other and evolve this into a relationship or a marriage? It leads better to a relationship and a marriage because you're already doing the things that people in a relationship or in a marriage do. Makes sense? Now, the last part is the consequences of not following this process, right? So if you don't follow part 1 and part 2 properly, what's going to happen is this. What you're going to end up doing is ending up with the wrong person, or you're going to be lonely, right? And both are bad. Maybe ending up with the wrong person actually worse than being lonely. I would say definitely yes, right? So if you are failing to follow part number 1, it's impatience that's kind of, forcing that. You're going to end up taking someone who just fills the role, right? You're going to end up taking the first person that... This happens a lot with girls because girls have, much easier time getting attention from guys. So when they're ready to get married... I've known girls who were we would be sleeping together. They would want a relationship. I was like, that's not what I want. It's like, okay. Then we stopped seeing each other. They would have a boyfriend within so fucking fast. And a lot of times, sometimes they would hook up with me again in the future because they would end up breaking up with that guy. Or I would just know because I'd hear about it, because of school and gossip and da-da-da. A lot of times those relationships really wouldn't work out. Sometimes they would, right? But I don't know if they were really happy because it's just I don't know. It's not the fact that it happened fast that's the problem, right? Because something can happen fast and it's fine. But I can tell the difference between fast because it just worked and fast because it was just, thrown together. And a lot of times people just throw things together and once they want something, they find it. And a lot of people, when they have the possibility to find something, like women who have a larger selection on average than men, they're going to end up finding it fast, but maybe that's That's a curse, not a blessing. So don't make that mistake. Don't just go out rushing to find this identity through impatience and you end up getting the wrong person because you take the first thing that you can get. What's going to happen if you don't follow the second process is you're going to end up getting tricked, right? It's this idea of like sex, taking it slow, it's really pervasive and it's a lot more serious than you think it is. And the main thing is that someone can trick you. Someone can play the role properly, right? I'm looking for a secretary. I'm looking for a CFO, right? So someone sends you a resume and they're like, I have this much experience, da 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 da. They might have experience, but they didn't tell you that, they ruined the company, right? But that wasn't in the press release about the company, right? It was hushed. But really, they were like instrumental in the downfall of the company. So they send you the resume, and so they look fine on the resume, but in practice, not so good. And it's very hard to find out because they're very good at tricking you, right? They're going to come with this resume and play the role really well, but then as time goes on, you see that their work is really low quality. They just know how to present it as better than what it actually is, right? So take that metaphor to dating. You can have a woman who takes it slow to make you think that she's a good girl, and even if you do find out she's promiscuous, oh well, I had my fun, but now I'm taking it serious. I have to give people credit. It is possible for a girl to turn around and change her values. It's not we can't just doom people to being their past, but we also should take their past into account, especially when our business, our company is at risk. You can hire an ex-felon and he might be the best worker you've ever had, but you should take into account the fact that he's a felon, right? I'm not saying you're a felon because you're promiscuous, right? And I hope this isn't insulting. It's just, it's a helpful metaphor, right? You should take into the fact that someone has maybe not been a good girlfriend in the past, right? If you find out she's cheated before. So you got to look at all these things, and just because someone's putting on an act doesn't mean it's the truth, right? But if you sleep with them quickly and you focus on the process and actually get to know them really well, and instead of looking for them to fill your position, see if they're good for the position, you're much more easily going to be able to weed out the bullshit from the true gold. And that kind of goes into, I would say, the last part of it is when you're looking for a role to be filled, you're going to be projecting qualities. So you're going to be looking for qualities. I want a girlfriend, so I need to look for things that make a good girlfriend. I want to go on dates, and I'm going to see on the dates through conversing with these women, their qualities as a good girlfriend are going to emerge naturally as a consequence of getting to know them, right? That is the absolute fucking center of this entire video, right? I've given you so many other little ideas that lead up to this part, but this is the center of it. If you grasp at an identity, I want to fill this role of a girlfriend or a wife, you are going to go into dating with certain expectations, looking for certain qualities, but you might not even know what makes a good girlfriend or wife. Do you have any experience? Or even if you have experience, have you learned from it and gained wisdom? You might think you have, but maybe you haven't. I know a lot of people who think they know what the fuck they're talking about, but they don't, because I really know what I'm talking about, because I really have had enough experience and I learned from that experience, right? So you can go in, I'm going to look for this, I'm going to look for this, I'm going to look for this. And when you date her, you're going to be on a date across from her, having a coffee with her, and you're going to go, I'm looking for this quality. Oh, she's showing this. She's so nice. She's so this, she's responsible, da-da-da. And you're going to be so focused on the qualities you want to see that you're going to miss everything else that's right here that would totally disqualify her as a good girlfriend. Maybe she actually is a good girlfriend, but she's not good for you because you're not going to have a connection with her. Or maybe you have a connection with her, but she's not going to make a good girlfriend, or some fucking mix of them. So don't go into dating looking for your girlfriend or your wife. Let your girlfriend or your wife emerge from the dating process. I hope this has been made abundant and clear, and this is the main part of it. If you can take anything away from the video, it's very simply, don't take it slow, right? Fuck girls fast and get to know them and as fast as possible, because then you can get through the process much quicker. No, right? But if you take 10 months on this one girl and it ends up turning out to be shit, well, man, you're not very efficient at all. And it was all predicated upon stupid ideas about dating. So boom, 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 boom. And it might take 50 girls. But then on the 50th girl, you find the actual girl who is going to work out because you were also patient. So you want it to go fast, but you also want to be patient. That's the trick. Fast or efficient, but patient. Efficient and patience will then lead to you finding someone who will demonstrate themselves as a good girlfriend or a wife, rather than looking for a girlfriend or a wife and taking the first person who looks like they would make a good candidate for that role, but actually aren't, because you were impatient and you took it too slow and you were inefficient with your dating process. So This is Hector Castillo. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell. If you want to check out my courses, I'm still setting up my website as of right now. I might update it in the future in the description. So if you see the website, go check it out. But you should just message me on Instagram. I have a texting book. I have a course that teaches you how to go out and approach girls, right? To actually funnel girls into your life so that you can start this dating process. And then the texting book will help you communicate with them over text. And then I also have a college book. It may not be relevant to you. You may not think it might be relevant to you if you're not in college, but it's about reputation management, social circle, friend groups, meeting girls within those friend groups, managing your friends, gossip, all that. All of that applies to pretty much any age in any place in any culture, right? People rarely evolve beyond high school. So my experiences in college and all the gossip and reputation lessons from that will apply to the rest of your life if you happen to be having friend groups or dating girls in friend groups or interested in girls in friend groups. It'll help you immensely to understand it. It's only $15. The texting book is only $15. The approaching course is a bit more expensive, so message me about that, but it's worth it. It's probably the best one of them. No, it is the best one of them out there. It's the best thing I've seen when it comes to approaching girls and teaching day game. So if you're interested in that, message me on Instagram or check out the website if I've updated the description. So Hector Castillo, hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon. Ciao.